beat SFU, we would have a lot of balls in the air to juggle.
Exactly, but now getting into our picks and bans for game number 1. So much is on the line here as Simon Fraser do need to win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive, though Maryland, already with a 2-0 in the group, don't have to push quite as hard. They're guaranteed at least a tiebreaker if they lose. Maybe even if Georgia College does help them out a little bit, potential for them getting through to national championships even without them having to win this game.
Yeah, it would be a boon to Ottawa.
Wait, JK, apparently Georgia College Bobcats have already lost, whether that was through a FF or a actual victory by University of Ottawa here. Looking at the standings,
I believe they forfeited.
If they forfeited, then yeah, that means Maryland do need to win this game to solidify their spot. Otherwise, they will be stuck in a 3-way tiebreaker for first place.
Not only that, but that would make the scores of, that would mean Ottawa is through as well. If Maryland wins this, Ottawa is booked regardless. So they will be going through. It's only in the situation of a Simon Fraser win that we do get all of the action. Now, not that I'm biased or rooting for either teams, but I do love action. I would love to see that one transpire. We'll see if it does come down to it because picks and bans are coming through. It's jungle focused off the rip. Both Frozen Knight and Wheezy are going to be on the back foot for some of their preferred champions. So the last ban from Maryland does finally come out, and no surprises there. More jungle, Sejuani off the table.
Yeah, it's a lot of jungle priority, but I have to say if there's one person in this matchup that absolutely everyone has been talking about, it is none other than Goldjet. No matter who you talk to from an analytical perspective, Goldjet is renowned as one of the best player in all of Collegiate League of Legends, and he's going to be going up against Yang, who had a very impressive showing earlier on in the play-ins match, actually yesterday's match for Maryland. So let's see if this man can actually go forward, live up to his namesake, live up to his reputation, and bring Simon Fraser into a 3-way tie for first.
That would be all the pressure in the world. Well, Caitlyn and Morgana going to get split up. No surprises there. You see the Caitlyn picked up for blue side. You almost have to grab Morgana if you didn't ban it out and away. The way current meta sits now. Trundle locked in for Frozen Knight. Going to say, hey, I need that jungle out very early. That's another one out of the pool now. I'm going to force Wheezy down onto Rengar. We'll see how he does operate with that one. Keep in mind, this is the Big Ten Conference winner here. This team play-ins only because of the way the Riot bracket worked. You know, we've seen a little bit of back foot play coming out now from the likes of Simon Fraser, who did lose in the finals to UCI. That's Irvine, of course. This is not the same situation for Maryland. They could be white hot right now with the level of momentum they have. And so I'm interested to see this one spin out.
Exactly, and going on through, you see the Rengar locked in, and potentially even the Jhin. As this has been a champion, people have kind of been going back and forth between, some people like the Rageblade Jhin build, some people just want to go for the generic crit, but either way, he can do so much damage to a lot of these very squishy targets. You can't imagine Wheezy on the Rengar getting too dreadfully tanky. Even Karma and Caitlyn could potentially be victims just lying in wait.
Well, we'll see what does come of that. Meanwhile, bans coming down now. We talked about LeBlanc making a return to the meta, Ari, as well. I know you in particular were quite excited about that one return, but it will not happen this game. Anivia as well, a huge champion as of late. They're going to ban it because they do not want the combination of the Trundle Pillar and the Anivia Wall, as it is so oppressive when it comes down to it. So some mid lane focus thus far. No surprises. That's kind of how the 5-ban phase has been going, is that solo laners get absolutely put on blast in the second round of the ban phase. We'll see what they do polish off with now here from Simon Fraser, and looks like Prom, okay, did get locked in time. Looks like they almost missed it.
Yeah, definitely hanging out to the very last second. LeBlanc ban. LeBlanc has certainly been coming back into the meta. Last match, we were treated to a little bit of a old school style mid lane. We had the Ryze versus Anivia. Game 2, we had Ryze versus Orianna. Certainly opening the door for a lot more champions coming in, as already 2 of those 3 members have already been banned away. Orianna being the only remaining quote-unquote safe mid lane left on board. But, I mean, Ari is still a big threat. Zed also going up pretty big, and a little bit of housekeeping for those of you guys just joining us. We are on that 8.8 patch. It's the exact same one you'll be playing on the live servers.
Yeah, I mean, all of this has been played through live. I think the only difference between the collegiate players and the actual live servers is that collegiate players do play with unlocked accounts during the season, the CLoL teams that is. So they'll have access to every champion and be able to run it out through. Of course, that does get revoked once they get knocked out of the season, so that unlocked account does get terminated. Tarek picked up now over for the side of Maryland. They will pick that one into their support, meaning Karma is indeed the mid laner. That flex was evident, perhaps, I think sniffed out by the side of SFU, who banned Braum just to be safe. So Quirk getting back down onto that Tarek and potentially now picking up Cho'Gath for Yang in that top lane against a Scion. We could have a little bit of a tank war coming our way.
And Yang going back once again to his very comfortable Cho'Gath. One of the things that can go toe-to-toe with the Scion, just because the Arcane Shout plus Arcane Comet rather on the Shout for Scion is still incredibly good at trying to push out some of those tanks from the lane, but I'll have to see if all this hype surrounding Goldjet is actually warranted. And of course, the most important matchup of the entire thing, who actually gets the banner of command first?
Yeah, I mean, they could actually have a little bit of a race to that one. I think some jungle intervention might be absolutely necessary, and we should have a pretty global game on our hands anyway. So we have White taking the teleport in that mid lane. No surprises there on Karma. Tigmith not feeling the necessity for it, as Talia can get in with the Weaver's Wall, and that's its own rotational prowess. So either way, the race to Banner of Command, very big, because both of these team comps have very spread out, split push, build pressure across everywhere you can mentality, and it'll be pretty big. I think in this just raw lane for lane, it should be Scion, right? Just if you break it down just on the champions, but I could go either way.
Exactly. I mean, the top lane still is going to be a bit of a wet noodle fight, of course. Certainly, Trundle can definitely come on up here, punish Yang if he stays a little bit too hard, a little bit too much. But also look at the roaming potential on the side for Simon Fraser, having both the Scion with a pseudo global ultimate from about the half map range, able to recall, run down to a lane, and also the Talia. Despite it, though, being quite nerfed on the last patch, doesn't have as much punch against the lane minion just because of the nerf to the Q. And also, here's something I do want to watch. What if White picks up that early banner of command in the mid lane? There is nothing Tick can do about it. He just has to look at it and feel really bad about himself.
Yeah, I mean, if Maryland can pick that one up for themselves and get it running down into Simon Fraser's mid laner, Tigmith, that does become trouble. As well as keep in mind, Nimantic's on Jhin, and this is not a champion that can really shred through minions too quickly at certain points of the game either. So I feel like they're going to be relying a lot, actually, on keeping the wave pressure up to start, because if they fall behind with it, it could be troubling. That
is certainly true, but you've still got a lot more clear potential if we just look at the rest of the composition. That being said, curious to see else the Morgana being picked away, keeping the Caitlyn Morgana lane out of the hands of the dominant bottom lane for Alrighty and Quirk. Don't want to give these Maryland guys any additional room, because Simon Fraser, keep in mind, remember, they are still backed against the wall, need to win this matchup if they want to have any chance to make it through to that national finals down in LA at Riot Studios.
Right, I mean, keep in mind, only by winning this do they extend what they have to do to continue on to push through to get there. They win, and it's not a guaranteed like it is over on the side for Maryland here. They would need to, in turn, win several more games with the tiebreakers, or we'll figure out exactly the details of what happens when those tiebreakers come down. It obviously means more League of Legends action, but the manifestation of that is still up for discussion. Now, in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we have a little bit of announcements, some plugs, and some things to share with you all here just about the CSL, who we are, what we do, and how we do it. So if you want to get involved with CSL, find out a little bit more about how you can get your school involved in collegiate esports in general, Discord's a great way to do that. You can hit ! Discord in the chat to get all the information you need right there. You can follow us on our social medias, keep up with everything we're doing. That's twitter.com/CStarLeague or CSLLOL if you just want the League of Legends content. And it's facebook.com/CStarLeague. I want to give a huge shout out to Twitch. Say, as always, nothing but gratitude for their continued help and support in all of our humble collegiate esports endeavors, from things like PAX East and West. What we do at the CSL would not be the same without their support. So be on the lookout for cool ways to get involved with Twitch in the near future. That is twitter.com/Twitch, facebook.com/Twitch, twitch.tv. It's where you are right now, unless you're watching on YouTube. That means you would have gone over to youtube.com/user/CStarLeague, where you would know that all of our VODs are capped in crystal clear quality for your replay perusing pleasure. You can, use it to scope out other teams that may be against you in the near future in other collegiate seasons. You can use it for your own VOD review as well. So a lot of practical reasons to head on over there, check out everything that we are doing. Last but not least, we do want to give a huge shout out to Juice Battery. Lasts 6 times as long and charges twice as fast. Don't ever get caught in a situation where your mouse has died, your keyboard's died. If you're playing on console, your controller's died. You can bypass all that right away with Juice Battery. You can find out more information, juicebattery.com. My name is Kyle Corbiscrow. I'm joined at the desk today by Steven Returned Johnson, and we are getting ready for game number 1 between Simon Fraser coming out against Maryland.
And we're still loading on up here. First thing to note is that Sign is going for a bit of the new build, so is not taking the Arcane Comet to help out with the shout damage, has in fact gone for Glacial Augment, so potentially looking to lock down Yang in the lane a little bit longer, facilitate some of these early ganks coming out of Trundle. And I mean, if you're able to start shoving in Yang under the tower, bring up Teak. Hey, maybe you can get some of those tower dives down in the top lane as well.
Well, you don't draft Talia unless you are prepared to make the roaming plays. You gotta try to stay one step ahead of White on that Karma at every turn and just end up dragging this Maryland squad up and down the map as best they can. It's going to be a tall order, though, because if any of these champions get lost in rotation, there's going to be a big angry Rengar waiting in the brush to find them.
I mean, yeah, Wezzy has shown for Maryland how aggressive he can actually be on this Rengar. In the last matchup versus Ottawa, he just absolutely tore them apart game after game. Finding that, especially that level 6 spike, finding the plays and just continuing to be an absolute terror onto the backline members. Because, I mean, these aren't exactly the beefiest ADC's mid lane combos. Jagel on the Morgana is not going to be able to keep them alive for long enough. So, Wheezy certainly has so much potential to really rip this game apart.
Yeah, you mentioned Ottawa. You have to wonder if we are going to be in the pause. That's because of the top bug splat for the side of Simon Fraser. So Gold Jet, obviously we want him to be a part of this game. We're going to get that sorted out very quickly here, and that's why the delay is coming on through. But once he gets reconnected, everything all sorted, squared away, we'll be running through this game. Shouldn't take too long is the good news. But yeah, you mentioned Ottawa. You have to think, they're out there right now. They're probably watching. They got to be rooting for the likes of Maryland here, right?
Exactly. If Maryland does win this matchup, that means Maryland and Ottawa will be making it through all the way to those national finals. So otherwise, still the 3-way tie. We're still getting confirmation on exactly how we are going to go about breaking those ties, especially if this is a 2-0 in favor for Simon Fraser, mostly because Maryland holds the 2-0 victory over Ottawa. Ottawa holds the 2-0 victory over Simon Fraser. And if Simon Fraser holds a 2-0 victory over Maryland, we got the full rock, paper, scissors going back and forth with basically everyone having equal stats against each other.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder, too, how they're going to make that one, make that call. Because if it's a situation where, okay, Simon Fraser did indeed beat Maryland here in this series, but what if it took him a 2-1 to do it? I mean, would you say, well, you know what, the wins were more convincing coming out of the likes of Maryland over, Ottawa, who beat Simon Fraser in a 2-0. It's a lot of head scratchers, and either way, no doubt, if it does go to a 3-way tie, that doesn't get played out in one game. It's going to hurt some feelings, but ladies and gentlemen, we are into game number 1. Simon Fraser coming out from the red side. It will be Maryland on the blue, and that means the action is coming at you loud and clear right now.
Yeah, and like we said, Simon Fraser, they do have this slight level 1 invade advantage, just having the Morgana, so much lockdown right out of the bat, right out of the gate. They are pathing down towards this bottom side, maybe looking for a bit of a cheese play. Quirk's got to be careful.
Yeah, they do want to find it. Quirk could be caught out here. He doesn't have a ward, and this is it. They see him. He's going to try to find the stun, but the dark binding connects, and he's going to get knocked up. No chance of him getting out of this one. And we saw them try to play that out. We saw this last game coming out from George Mason, but this time Simon Fraser showing how it's done. The Morgana so strong there with that dark binding. Didn't worry about the stun from Quirk. Knew that he could get hit by it and still get the kill regardless. So very good heads-up play coming out from the likes of Simon Fraser to make sure that they are getting themselves the nice little 500 gold lead. The first blood, it ended up actually going over to Jay there. So the support first blood, but that's not the worst thing in the world when it comes to getting that early sight stone and continuing with just mass vision from there.
I mean, he did get the 20 extra stacks onto the spell Thief's Edge, and just like you said, vision game's gonna be very important because you want to make sure you can control Tikmith in the mid lane, whether you're trying to enable him from the side of Simon Fraser or shut him down if you are Maryland, because a roaming Talia is the exact thing that can just absolutely demolish the map, especially if you get the TP pressure going onto the side, especially before Wheezy can actually get that roaming game down, and that then turns into a bit of this race between Wheezy and Tikmith. See who can actually impact this map first.
Well, the impact already felt now by Quirk, who's not going to be feeling too good about the way it all did transpire, but you have to wonder, this lane from Maryland should be shutting out pretty heavily already in Quirk. Just the Caitlyn into the Jhin, the Mantic, gonna have a little bit of an uphill battle there in this situation, and gauging the importance of the bot lane, it is a Mountain Drake early on. Both teams would love to take that one, put it in their back pocket, and just have it backing them for the rest of the game, so wouldn't be too surprised if Frozen Knight and Wezzy made a little bit of a priority around the bot side. Obviously rolling top, very important, but in this situation, it's just a lot of pressure building around the spot side.
But going back to that top lane matchup, looking at the initial items, Mini Materializers is taken by both mid laners, but only on the top lane for Goldjet and Yang. Already moving over to assist this invade.
Ooh, yeah, this is going to try to find something. Wezzy right there. He forces the flash from Frozen Knight, and here's Tikmith with the Summoner Heal to keep him in good shape. Yang, how far do you want to push this? They do have White there as well, and meanwhile in the bot lane, things getting a little bit rough, but Frozen Knight does go down. Wezzy found that one. It's a double knockup for Goldjet. What can he get done here? Yang is almost certainly going to die. They try not to let Wezzy get out of this one, but meanwhile, White was able to turn things on to Tikmith, and I think Goldjet took too many hits from the chickens. It's a nice flash over from White. And Maryland find themselves 3 in a 3-for-1 trade-up.
And with that now, that is an incredibly great early game coming out from Maryland. They coordinate that invade perfectly. Yang, despite not having any dematerializers, is able to get the wave pushing at the exact right time, moves over to Wezzy, help him out with the invade, and now the move over from White in the mid lane too just completely solidifies that 3-for-1 kill advantage on that play. So much gold, so much XP going over to the likes of Maryland off that one, and they're going to be looking to dive pretty darn deep with that lead. Still a little bit of a road left to travel, but they're putting themselves on the good path.
So, I mean, Goldjet got a kill here. Hang on, Frozen Knight trying to make that 2 kills for Goldjet. We'll see if he does end up taking this one for himself. The answer will be yes. And Frozen Knight shores it up 3 kills to 3, but this is bad news for Tikmith in the mid lane here. White is going to be so strong with those 2 kills at his back. Sitting on just shy of 2,000 gold here, where it's only 1,300 from Tikmith. A 700 gold advantage, really close to 6. Still insane at this point in the game.
And another back coming out so far. This will be absolutely devastating. If Tikmith is not able to pick up the last chapter on this back, or he's actually going to be held in lane for even longer. So White with a very definitive, not only the TP advantage to get back in the lane if he wants to, but also the mana sustain. And if you are White right now, the only job for you this game is keep Tikmith under control. If Talia gets to the late game without having too many impactful roams, there's not much he can do. I mean, yeah, you can pull out the fancy play on Talia, but it is nowhere near as consistent as something like the Karma. And even so, if you prevent a lot of this early game aggression towards the bottom lane, already on the Caitlyn has so much of a supporting cast, plus there aren't many backline threats coming out from Simon Fraser that there is just no answer to the late game Caitlyn.
They certainly need to find a way to stop that bleeding before it gets too out of control. Look at that Yang. Rush across the plate for Frozen Knight, says, hey, I know what you're doing. I'm not worried about it. Gonna reveal that he's got a ward there and waste a little bit more of Frozen Knight's time. That's 2 Ruptures burned down, but Frozen Knight obviously gonna be put on a back foot a little bit, and this buys time for Wezzy to know that he's okay in that bot side jungle of Simon Fraser.
And just check out the items so far being built on the top side of the map. Goldjet immediately opting in for the Ruby Crystal signals that he's not going for the first item, Banner of Command. I could very easily see Yang rushing that one down just so he has the immediate pushing power in the lane. They do have to keep in mind, Goldjet does have the Mini Dematerializer, so he's going to be able to hold on for just some amount of time if that's the route they do want to go, but finding some way to keep Goldjet locked down to this top lane, don't let him actually help his team out, help Tikmith out, help Frozen Knight out with the roaming game would be pretty impactful.
Certainly they need to find a way to make that come to the fruition from the side of Maryland here. Be feeling pretty good about the way this game started, just with their composition, and especially bouncing back from, I mean, you look at the way these kills went down. In theory, that kill onto Quirk should not have happened, right? So they're going to probably forgive themselves for that little bit of an early slop and say, look, the way we've been playing the actual game out has been favoring us. We can continue the pressure out from there and really build it up. Now they have a Mountain Drake at their back, too. Starting to siege some of these other objectives as they come up. Things like the towers, further drakes.
But especially if this blue buff goes on over, Frozen Knight's going to be hurting really hard from giving that buff over, because he is still level 4, mind you. Wheezy on the other side is level 6. Based off the back end of that invade, and just look at the CS differentials. Wheezy has been wiping the floor with Frozen Knight ever since that early invade, that early skirmish. About 700 gold up, 7 minutes into the game.
Ouch. Yeah.
Ouch, indeed.
100 gold per... Yeah, there's really not much more you can say about that one. It's obviously Trundle has a very strong early game as a champion with his gank potential if he can land the pillars right. But with that Rengar, Wezzy can really just do so much here, and really has been thus far. I think especially that skirmish around the topside jungle near the red buff in the side of Simon Fraser has been so telling of the way that these two compositions are going to be able to run up against one another. And it looks a little bit like Simon Fraser is scared to put themselves back in that situation, and they don't exactly know what to do here next.
Well, we've seen this one before. This would be absolutely devastating if he pulls this one off.
Oh, yeah. Wants to find the flash. Whipped against the wall, and here's Goldjet to try to make something happen. Did not do right with the blast cone. Bounced back in, but maybe that's what he wanted here, as he didn't know he had reinforcements on the way. Tickmith gonna get trouble. Wezzy is there and doing the damage, but they knock him back some. Goldjet not done yet. He's gonna find one kill. Actually, Tickmith gets the credit. And now Frozen Knight's back on over into things. Flash in from the Talia. Gonna be a flash out from White. And meanwhile, the pressure's still building in the bottom lane. Dead even in gold for these two schools. But that's a brush across the plate. Pretty heavy warning shot. And Maryland are going to have some things to think about after that one.
And Maryland, they do accomplish the objective of taking away the red buff, hindering Frozen Knight's ability to actually scale up for the duration of this match. But still, that was not as clean of an invade, mostly because they didn't have what made the first invade go well. They didn't have Yang pushing the top lane, ready to move on over at a moment's notice. They didn't have White also pushing up, able to move over at a moment's notice. So Wezzy was kind of at the going for the solo man invade. Had some nice parkour moves, but unfortunately is unable to walk away with anything more than a red buff in response for his top laner going down.
Yeah, and a red buff. Sure, it's great, but not when you contrast it with, hey, a kill just happened here. Look at Goldjet. He's pushing out so much pressure now into this top lane against Yang on that Cho'Gath. He's getting to a point where he's going to be feeling good to fight kind of under most circumstances, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see Wezzy come up and really try to make a difference here before too long. Potentially even the roam from White. We've seen that teleport on Karma. We've not seen a great use of it just yet. So the rotational game still just waiting to break open from the likes of Maryland here. And Simon Fraser, sure, they turned a good a kill on that last one. They're going to feel good about that fight. That was still to the initiation of Maryland, and they haven't found an active play just yet.
Yeah, they are locking down Goldjet here. He has flash. He's going to have to use to get it out.
Says bye. No problem. Yeah, it's a pretty big one to lose there, but the rotation was just so clean. They had Wezzy, they had Yang and White all in the area. Of course, both sides of the map have all just been running at this tower. It's been the pushing play thus far. Now they want to run back of this 3v3. Tickmith is here. They want to find Yang. Rift Herald still aggroed onto him. Can they find a little bit more? It's a good pillar, but it's not good enough to stop a flash, so they are going to get themselves out. They break the push from Maryland. Simon Fraser building a little bit of pressure back into their favor here. And, ooh, the Dark Binding hits critically in the bot lane. Going to force the ultimate out. Soul Shackle is down, though. Will be stunned through, but not the biggest deal in the world. Jay will take that ace in the hole. Not going to worry too much about that, but Yang, in the meantime, going to die to Goldjet, possibly. He will lose his own life for that. But in that, he's going to feel very advantageous.
Curtain call.
Curtain call, get a kill here. Alrighty, and Quirk, they're both options, but then it finds Quirk, and that one goes down. Stretching the slight kill lead now for the likes of Simon Fraser. They're going to roam down now in the mid, but look at this, the Weaver's Wall. 90 caliber netted over. Tower's in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, in this game, all was coming down to who could make that first map move. Tikmith or Wazy with the level 6 ultimates, and it looks like Tikmith is going to be able to force that bot lane tower down after a pretty good play coming out of both Matic and Jail to get that first kill, and that will be the first tower going down in favor of Simon Fraser University.
Yeah, they find that one for themselves. 11 minutes into the game, with the Dragon coming up at the right time as well. It's going to be a good opportunity to have that pressure building. Looks like the Dragon will actually probably get snapped back right immediately by the likes of Maryland here. So we'll see whether or not that's something that is contested too heavily, or with the vision that Simon Fraser has, they really can't do too much about. Still do have the teleport in the top lane from Goldjet, despite the fact there is no Weaver's Wall anymore from Tikmith. They had to set up with that last play, so this should just be the free Cloud Drake going on over to the likes of Maryland, and Simon Fraser really know they can't contest here.
Yeah, as we are now a little bit of a low in the action, we do have a slight update for you guys on how these tiebreakers would work. So right now, with the other two teams currently in contention, both Maryland and Ottawa, if SFU was able to pull out the victory, they should pull out the... If they pull out a 2-0 victory, they would be equally tied in the set score. But if Maryland are even able to take one match off of it, Simon Fraser would be losing in the overall set score by 1 to both Ottawa and Maryland, which means SFU need to win this series 2-0 if they want any chance of making it to Riot.
Interesting. So I wonder too, like, I know this isn't probably the case, but if we get like a baseball walk-off, right? We're top of the 9th inning now, and all that Maryland has to do is win this first game to just nullify the results of the whole series, or whether or not we just play it right through continuously.
There isn't even the question of seeding to go off of, because seeding going into the national championships is predominantly based on region. So potentially this could impact Maryland's ranking versus Illinois', but even so, you are completely correct, and you saw what happened early in the day if any of you guys tuned into C-Star League 2 for that matchup of Columbia College that I can loosely define as a matchup, honestly, between Columbia College and, it was Northern Georgia, I believe?
I believe so, yes.
But there was like an Ivern support in that game. There was Evan RL on Vayne. I wouldn't be shocked to see a bit of a run back of the, alright guys, just pick your main. We're going to have fun with this one.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing for the audience here. It's a little bit more viewership in the crowd than we are accustomed to throughout the regular season. Not too uncommon for playoffs to have this many, especially play-ins. If there's ever a day, it's here. But I believe that
Weezy
pulling in a few people. Yeah, Weezy's here. Tikmith, no chance of getting out of that one alive with the Summoner Heal and Flash Burn. Both only delayed the inevitable there, and now Jay and then have to be careful as to how they want to play this one out. Wesley with the ultimate there. Black Shield keeping Jay alive only barely, but it's not going to last. And meanwhile, the Terror Colt coming down. Goldjet is here in time. Quirk should likely be a casualty of this fight as Frozen Knight finds him. Now they're trying to get in onto Wesley. Curtain Call is popped. Wesley kills one, but will die himself. And they're going to finish off the Curtain Call, just trying to get the damage onto White. Meanwhile, bot lane, the tower pressure is on, coming out now from Alrighty. And it's a scrappy run through, 2 for 2 regardless. Both supports and junglers dying in the process, but the fact that the split push nets a tower to Maryland means the advantage is theirs.
Okay, teleport coming in. White being chased on back is going to be able to get out of that one in the end. But keep in mind, Wesley now, we've seen what he can do on this Rengar. He is 4-1-2, already completed the Duskblade of Drakthar, already finishing up that team at, so stacking just pure damage right now. And with the support Jail being onto Morgana, there's nothing to keep Pneumatic and Tikmith alive. Other than maybe a GA, or if Jin even wants to go for something like a Zonius, that's literally the only thing that can save him at this point.
You know, Goldjet has been doing a pretty good job of disrupting the fights and buying enough time. But yeah, if he's not there at the start, and if he with Frozen Knight can't really get off the field that they need to defensively, where they want to be playing offensively anyway, it could be trouble for the likes of Simon Fraser in this situation. Now, they do have the gold advantage. They have the tower advantage, and they're up by a kill. So Wesley, while a threat is not a dark storm cloud looming over their heads, only waiting to eventually turn them down towards just a possibility. It's something that they need to play with in mind.
Yeah, Knife Cat is basically unanswerable at this moment, though. The good thing is, Wheezy's only the strongest when he is the one initiating the fight, when he is the one finding someone caught out in the jungle. Whereas you turn that around, you still have Teakmith with a huge amount of mobility on this map. Weaver's Wall is great for catching anyone out, and even better, if you catch Rengar on the wrong side of a wall, he can't just jump over it unless he has a very defined target on the other side. So there are macro steps that can be taken here, but Wheezy already going to be using that ultimate for a little bit of scouting.
Yeah, wants to just get the growl down and make sure that there's not too many problems standing in his path just yet. Top laners, both waiting here in the top side. The teleport is in the hands of Gold Jet. Yang does not have that, but does have the Rupture to potentially interrupt should a fight break out. Now, meanwhile, a lot of wards went down favoring Maryland here. We'll see if they can continue to build up that pressure, as we're about a minute away from the next Drake, and that's an Infernal on the table, so they're trying to set up very early for this. We'll see what Simon Fraser can do to kind of stop this one dead in its tracks.
Simon Fraser really need to start making some moves around this map, because even just looking at the late game scaling potential, I still take the Caitlyn with a supporting cast of a Taric and a Karma over the teamfight damage potential of a Talia plus Jhin basically any day of the week, unless there's some massive macro outplay coming through. So the clock is potentially ticking now for Simon Fraser, and remember, if all of what we've heard is correct, Simon Fraser need to win each and every match. They can't even afford to win this one 2-1 if they want to make it through to the finals.
Right, backs are against the wall from the second they started. They started this best of 3, essentially a game down. And so they're going to try to play it out as clean and succinctly as they can. Now, like I said, they've had relatively the advantage all the way throughout the early game, and it's the Caitlyn and basically double support of Karma and Taric that make it a much more troubling situation for them, even when they do have, on paper...
Weezy's on the back side here.
Yeah. Let's see if he tries to come up through. Would not get spotted out, as a Rift Scuttler's not an option down just yet, so the flank is coming out. Didn't quite get it, just regrouped with his team here. And now they're trying to push on a little bit further. Have to be careful. Wheezy's trying to get in onto Frozen Knight. Does get about half his health taken down, but the Taric ultimate will buy him a little bit of time there.
But look at these waves.
Yeah,
there is absolutely nothing set up for Simon Fraser. Even if they get a win, they can't take anything outside of this dragon.
Yeah, no, we're going to try to fight something here. This is going to be big. That's going to be Jay. Jay taking it down. Not very good for him. Wezzy is into the middle of things, and now he's getting a lot of damage onto him. Work could be in trouble as well. Half health has to flash out of that one as the curtain call opens up, and they're going to be trying to get in the damage. Damage of the Infernal Drake still coming through. Fourth shot not connected to the medic. So all in all, it's only a one champion loss now. It was Morgana Jay on the side of things. Meanwhile, that top lane tower took quite the beating. It's on its last leg of health. We are looking at 121. So it'll be an Infernal Drake for most of a tower and a kill. The trade definitely favors Maryland in this case.
Unfortunately, with that early loss of Jail, there's not too much more that Simon Fraser can reliably do to come in, and even the rotation back to mid lane was pretty slow. If they did that probably about 5 to 10 seconds earlier, they can easily at least look to trade the dragon for the tower, but they were looking for the big play. They wanted to pull out the advantage, get the kills, get the towers, and I mean, if they were in a spot where they could find those kills, even get an ace, they can take so much off the back of that because of their side wave control. But now, after a little bit of a reset, Maryland's able to equal those out, and they're still very much in control of the tempo for this match for quite a long time left to come.
We just crossed the 20-minute mark, and there Nasher will be gracing us with his presence on the Rift. Looks like the side of Fraser just want to set up around the top, but
here's
they
the flank.
Instead of jungle fight coming down, that's going to be big. Yang is trying to get into the side of things, but Wezzy is onto Nemanic, and that's big trouble for him. He's going to find that first kill to fight without the AD. How much more can they do? Tickmith the next target, and Wezzy is just absolutely destroying through the damage dealers of Simon Fraser. That is bad news, as Jay has to use the Soul Shackle defensively, but still won't get out of this one. Yang does just devour that one right up, and that's going to mean Baron, the next objective on the table for the likes of Maryland here, and Simon Fraser have a lot of ground to make up here.
And that was a rushed engage by Simon Fraser. They spent no time trying to account for where Wheezy was in that fight, and unfortunately for them, he was right behind their carries, ready to obliterate them before they could even get started on this fight. And now, just like we said, Simon Fraser, this isn't a best of 3. This is 2 best of 1s where you need to walk away with both of them to make it on out. And now, they're going to need to dig deep here if they want to have any chance remaining in this series.
Yeah, a Baron and 3 Drakes down. It's just tough at this point, and Simon Fraser are playing with their collegiate season hanging in the balance here. They do want to move on through now. Of course, this would mean a win here. Simon Fraser with their tickets to Los Angeles as well as Ottawa. Both teams be very happy, or not Simon Fraser, I'm sorry, Maryland and Ottawa if Simon Fraser loses this game. So both teams would be very happy for a Maryland win in this instance, and we could be only just a few minutes away from that here.
And if this is going to continue being what it was, actually Engage coming through for the mid lane. Simon Fraser, they're getting a little bit nervous. They know they need to make the big play, and they need to make it now.
Well, they are losing towers in the top side of things, and the split push culminating as well in the bottom. Yang was there to deal damage, and Simon Fraser looking a little lost here. Teleport's coming through to the top side. They're just going to try to split out this one pretty hard. And Wezzy in a position to maybe find a pick. They have the control ward down. They know he's around. They just need to be careful here.
There are only 2 options for Simon Fraser right now. Either A, they match the 1-3-1 or the 4-1 with their members, which isn't an option because Weezy can easily just maneuver between the two, and wherever the one guy is, he will personally kill them. Or B, you go all Engage, try to force the 5v4 somewhere else on the map, and they're just not confident enough to get it done.
Maryland trying to find the damage here around this tower. We'll see what they can make happen as we're happy to be the front line there. The tower itself gone down very quickly to the Baron minions and the Mountain Drake, and Wezzy on the side main setup for already. He finds the kill with the Piltover Peacemaker. And they pick off one already on the move down now to the spot side turret. The last remaining outer. They have been slow, clear-cut, and methodical in their pacing of taking out Simon Fraser's objectives, and things are only looking worse for the Canadian school at this point.
They're still pushing on in. Still no inhibitors falling just yet. That is really what will put a team out of their miseries in one of these matches. So as long as they can hold on here, that beacon of hope is still alive, but Herrick ulti, that's not going to stay up for long.
They have to be careful here. It is Goldjet. He is the tank line. He can do a lot. Frozen Knight as well with their health bars. The Herrick ultimate is down. This is the time where they would need to engage. It's do or die. Weaver's Wall is coming down. How does it split the team? It does keep All Right on the back line, but he has the range. The damage, the tank dealers. Can they find them? What in the meantime? Just stalling, and Yang is there. Wezzy's on a killing spree now as the Weaver's Wall is gone. The inhibitor as well will be the next thing to fall.
They could try to end.
Middle of this fight. They're going to try to continue to push this and maybe make sure the sun sets on Simon Fraser's collegiate dreams here. They do find Frozen Knight. He's going to go down. The next one is going to be the tower, and this is looking all the worse for SFU at this point. They're just going to continue pushing through. That's going to be Goldjet going down. The Pneumatic trying to pull the curtain call from the steps of the fountain. Not enough.
Only Pneumatic.
Answer one back. Pneumatic kills Yang, but is it all too late? The answer looks to be yes. They are going to be able to have Baron minions onto the Nexus. Now they are going to chew through this so quickly.
That's it!
But there's just no time, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Fraser falls. Game number 1. The GGs come out. And if our sources can be believed, Maryland has just booked themselves a ticket to the Collegiate League of Legends Finals on the Riot stage.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're still waiting for an official confirmation on this being the case, but like we said, more likely than not, this should be a tie-breaking scenario because both Maryland and Otto won their respective series over the non-Georgia colleges in 2-0 fashion. So, things looking pretty dire now for SFU, and it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to make it to those national finals no matter what happens in the rest of the series.
This is a lot to process. It used to be that whenever the Western region walked, the ground shook beneath their feet and everyone trembled. This time now the Big Ten making a statement that no, we deserve the 2 spots we were guaranteed last year. This time, they were told they had to earn them. They've done so pretty convincingly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing coming into this play-in stage was we had never seen any Big Ten teams play any non-Big Ten teams in formal play. So we were wondering, how do they actually stack up? Can we rely on Big Ten to really play up to everyone else, or are the lack of teams in that region going to start hitting on them? And they respond with a resounding, we deserve to be here. On Simon Fraser, everyone was talking about them and UCI looking forward to the rematch, potentially during the national championships, and unfortunately for them now, they're not going to get that.
No, certainly not the case. We're going to wait on confirmation as to whether or not we're even playing out the rest of this series. See if our tournament code actually still works here, because we do need to know whether it's going to a break or just closing out the day entirely here. So in the meantime, while we do get that sorted, further breaking down, it looks like we have, our teams on the docket here. We know what we're looking at. The 4 from play-in stage is going to be from Group A, Maryland, first seed, and Ottawa, second. And then from Group B, Columbia College, first seed, and of course Illinois second there, as they did find it over George Mason just a little bit earlier on the stream today.
We will give you guys a little bit more information, as we should know definitively what the play-ins do look like, what the outcome should be at the end of this match, as this is the last match of the play-in. So we'll run through that with you guys once we have official confirmation. But for now, we're going to throw it over to a little bit of a break. Get ready for a hypothetical, or what should be a fantastic match number 2 here. SFU at this point, they're just playing for pride.